SaaS services are a great convenience to most organizations. More and more software vendors are putting their applications in the cloud and converting them into SaaS services. At first glance, this might seem as though security is the responsibility of the SaaS provider. However, SaaS is more complicated than that. So let's unpack what you need to know and where you're responsible for SaaS security. We're going to have a bonus section at the end to discuss one of the frequent questions we get from clients around SaaS security. Hi, I'm Steve Murphy. I'm a vice president at ARG, and while I work for ARG, this video is my own and does not represent the views or opinions of my employer. Software as a service, abbreviated SaaS and pronounced SaaS, is now the dominant go-to-market strategy for software providers today. There are lots of advantages for being a SaaS application, which is delivered over the public internet and usually accessed via a traditional web browser. Some of those advantages include subscription-based licensing, where users buy a certain number of licenses for their users. This is attractive because it creates a consistent revenue stream to the application provider and a stable cost structure for the customer. Deployment's much simpler for the customer, and upgrades and patches are deployed directly by the application developer to the cloud platform. So everyone's always on the same version. From a customer perspective, your use of the application and the data that you load into it is generally secured by the SaaS provider. You want to conduct some significant due diligence on your SaaS provider to ensure their security posture and procedures are sufficient and at least match your requirements, if not exceeding them. So having someone else responsible for the security of your data does not absolve you or your organization from doing its part to ensure your data is kept safe. Let's break down the 6 security best practices for SaaS applications. First is access management. If you're putting sensitive information in a SaaS platform, only those allowed to interact with that sensitive data should have access to the platform. Makes sense, right? Well, segregating employees based upon the applications they need to access is a fairly standard process, but within the SaaS application itself, segregating information can become more difficult. One of the challenges with SaaS is establishing a finite access control. It might be difficult, for example, to keep your accounting staff from accessing financial projections if both accounting and finance are using the same financial management system. Make sure your SaaS platform has role-based access controls, and you understand how granular those controls are. We're looking for more than just admin, user, and information access type of roles. We'd like to see workflow segregations, if that's important to your organization and the system under consideration. Next is backup and business continuity. What happens if your SaaS platform fails? The notable big-name SaaS platforms have had their outages. Typically, these are short-lived, and customers just have to keep making do and keeping alternate records until the service is restored. But many organizations are using smaller SaaS platforms for specialized services. Do these smaller platforms have the same resources to address an outage as a Microsoft or Salesforce.com? When using a SaaS platform, the platform may make a backup of your data, but you may not have access to that backup. Most SaaS platforms require you to maintain backups of your own data. So be sure you understand the policies and capabilities for redundancy and restoration, as well as recovery behind the SaaS platform you're working with. Retention is the next topic. If you're storing time-sensitive data in a SaaS platform, that data needs to be retained for more than a short while. Most platforms will require you to remove your data or move your data, export your data into your own retention facility. Data in SaaS platforms does not survive perpetually, though it can if you negotiate that capability with the provider. If you're backing up the data in accordance with your business continuity strategy, you can focus less on the SaaS platform for your data retention, as long as your workflows do not require extensive historical data access. So, fourth is growing bigger and more important every day. Regulatory compliance. Data sovereignty in particular is a hot topic I see right now. Where is the data physically located? Several countries require that data created in that country stay within that country. or the economic union states in the case of the EU. Even the EU is becoming less clear. I've seen some client legal departments require data created in an EU member state be stored in that same member state. This is creating some challenging data storage strategies, to be sure. By the way, we represent all the major data centers around the world, so if you need a facility in a particular jurisdiction, just let me know. My contact information is in the description of the video. So are you subject to a regulatory framework, and is the data you'll be storing in the SaaS platform subject to those regulations? Well, then you'll want to make sure you understand how you'll maintain compliance while using a particular SaaS provider. Another consideration is, and maybe an advantage, is can the SaaS platform, because it meets your compliance requirements, help you gain a compliance status? Using a SaaS might be easier to satisfy your regulatory obligations than building your own compliant environment. Okay, number 5. That's misconfigurations. Large companies use over 50 SaaS platforms, maybe even well over 100. Small organizations typically have at least 10. Chances are your IT team does not have expertise in all of the SaaS platforms you guys are using. The opportunity for misconfiguration or mismanagement of subscribers, either providing subscriptions to people who don't need access or failing to suspend access of separated employees, is very high. Each SaaS platform has its own security settings. They're generally pretty straightforward and somewhat limited, so it's easy for the person responsible for configuring the security on the SaaS to get overconfident and just take a cursory approach to the settings. Terminology in the security configuration portals may not comply with standard industry definitions, so you have to take great care to ensure that the configurations are accurate and they need to be reviewed periodically. Now, last one is data breaches. So our SaaS system will be subject to attack just as any other system will be. In fact, the major SaaS platforms are significant targets for the bad guys, not only for the ability to hold data of the SaaS ransom to the SaaS provider, but for all the SaaS customer information that can then either be sold or ransomed back to the customers directly. Ensure that your SaaS data is encrypted and that the SaaS platform has sufficiently strong security measures for the data you're trusting within it. Understand the notification policies around a breach should one occur and what liability the SaaS provider has to your organization. So leveraging a SaaS can be secure and a sound strategy. In fact, most SaaS platforms have stronger security capabilities than a typical business simply due to their larger scale and scope, as well as needing to protect their brand that would be damaged would or should an event occur. You do need to take additional steps, though, to complete your security position. Okay, so that's SaaS and 6 steps to help you manage your security posture. I promised a bit of a bonus at the end of this video. So a natural question that we get when discussing SaaS security is, how does a cloud access security broker, or CASB, enter into my SaaS security strategy? It's a good question and requires some careful consideration. So CASBs provide a great security approach for all cloud workflows, whether they're SaaS or other clouded services. However, CASBs are more useful for controlling data moving through the cloud environments and identifying shadow IT or unsanctioned SaaS and other cloud services. Advanced CASBs can play a role in data governance for the SaaS as well. The reality, though, is that very few organizations have CASBs today. So while they might play a role in SaaS security at some point in the future, we need security strategies that work now for the SaaS applications that we're using now. So if you want to explore more ways to secure your organization, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description of this video. If you got some value out of this video, I'd appreciate a like, a thumbs up, and thank you very much for doing that in advance. I appreciate it. If you'd like to come back to this channel in the future, the best way of doing that is to hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.